Hello everyone, Mr. McTidge here, and today I'm coming out of video making hibernation to talk about the new Janelle Monae album Dirty Computer. And contrary to what the title of this video might suggest, I actually really enjoyed this album. In Dirty Computer, Monae excels at merging pop and funk in the vein of Prince on songs like Screwed and Make Me Feel, with touches of R&B and soul on songs like the title track Dirty Computer, Crazy Classic Life and Americans. That makes for a detailed, catchy and incredibly fun listen. It's really no wonder why Dirty Computer has been receiving so many good reviews from so many sources. However, this album falls short in one key area, and it's the area where it seems to be trying the hardest to succeed in. Dirty Computer is thematized on Monae showing pride in her race, her gender and her sexuality, in an attempt to boldly show the world she isn't afraid of being who she is, giving those like her pride in who they are themselves, as well as changing the culture around her to be more accepting of the traits she's speaking of. This sounds great, doesn't it? And I like the overall message of the album, but it seems like a lot of reviewers are really showing they're not worth their salt when reviewing Dirty Computer by completely ignoring some rather glaring problems with the way it's executed, which is what I want to address in this video. Songs like Crazy Classic Life, Django Jane and Americans touch on themes of racism against ethnic minorities and in particular Black Americans in the US. And in Dirty Computer, Monae takes a very smart route in providing her counterpoint against this racism. And that's by presenting the best of the music art forms African Americans have developed and innovated. Soul, funk and R&B are genres I've already mentioned that Monae employs in this album and shows she's incredibly good at. But of course, these are genres that Monae has already composed in, so you can't really say that's much of a statement. But it becomes very apparent that that is what Monae is going for when you consider that all the Western classical influence in the ArchAndroid is completely gone in Dirty Computer to be replaced with another music genre Monae did dabble in Electric Lady but is much more prominent here, and that is rap. A style that is very historically intertwined with the black struggle in America, and so Monae's employment of rap here does carry symbolic significance tying in with the themes of the album. But what becomes very apparent when listening to this album is that Janelle Monae is not the best rapper. She first raps on this album in the second track, Crazy Classic Life, where towards the end of the song the instrumental's steady and she comes out with some which sounds ridiculously amateurish. I cringe every time I have to listen to it. Her rapping itself isn't necessarily bad. There aren't any real glaring problems if you don't think too hard about it, although I do question her decision to try and rhyme Rambo with sandals, which just feels weird. But that's not the only time where it feels like her rhymes feel forced. Take the verse at the end of Screwed, which has the line, "100 men telling me cover up my areolas while they blocking equal pay sipping on their Coca-Colas." It might sound like a cool rhyme at first, but the referring to the drink Coca-Cola here feels really dissonant. The kind of people who would pass laws about public nudity and equal pay are people in positions of authority and power, and yet Coca-Cola is a drink more for the average Joe, and so the line just feels tonally confused, and that the only reason it's there is so that it could rhyme. The problems with Monae's rapping is most obvious in the main rap track on the album, Django Jane. Especially in the line, "It's looking like you're gonna need some more ammo, I cut 'em off, I cut 'em off, I cut 'em off like Van Gogh." I'll forgive the fact she pronounces Van Gogh like Van Gogh, because I'm informed many Americans pronounce his name that way, but it's another very weirdly placed reference. In a song all about having confidence in her identity, she raps about dealing with haters as cutting them off like Van Gogh, who, according to historical records, cut off his ear in a state of madness, or as later critics and historians have estimated as being a state of depression, which doesn't align at all with the confident, assertive and aware attitude that Monae is presenting in Django Jane. It feels like she just hasn't thought through some of her lyrics. Especially when she starts rapping about emoticons, Decepticons and Autobots that change the plot without any proper contextualization. The words coming out of her mouth just become meaningless, like she's listing all these barely related things without even attempting to string them together. It's quite bizarre. And the reason I make this point is because, whereas in other genres in this album, Monae is able to present the greatness within those genres. The chromatic interplay in the funk of Make Me Feel is so damn good. The jazzy guitar interludes in Take a Bite are fantastic. And the laid-back yet detailed R&B layerings of Don't Judge Me are gorgeous to listen to, but Monae seems unable to present the best of what rap has to offer. There aren't really any interesting multisyllabic rhymes, the flows are rather vanilla and samey throughout, the storytelling is alright but not really compelling. Rap's faster flows tends to lend the style well to wittiness and intensity, but she never finds a way to satisfyingly use that as a contrast to what she's presenting when she sings. The album is, I think, still a successful celebration of black music, but honestly her rapping is a notable letdown, and I think the symbolic power of her using rap on this album would have been so much more poignant if she were great at it rather than less than great at it. I've spent a lot of time on her rapping, but there are moments as well where her attempts to celebrate identity come across as very odd. I think this comes across very much in the song Pink. Pink is a celebration of not just female genitalia, but of femininity itself, which is obvious through the lyrics, but also through the musical ideas. The synth line is sparse and delicate, the song layers up subtly, and Monae's vocal performance is notably soft and demure. The verses present a song that feels feminine and entirely comfortable with being feminine as well. But then you get to the chorus, which has these elongated ahs and yes, and you soon realise that the chords are really simple and uninteresting, and that when the song layers up, it doesn't reveal any interesting harmonies or rhythms, it's just another layer for the sake of another layer. The compositional cues of this song indicate it to be a YouTube parody song, which seems so bizarre when this song sets itself up as being a genuine expression of love for femininity. I mean, perhaps Monae is playing some 4D chess right now, perhaps she's making a song that people wanting to celebrate female identity can enjoy, but also giving people who find identity politics dumb a song where the compositional cues are telling them to laugh at it, but in all likelihood it's probably just poor compositional judgment on Monae's part. The last point I really have to make about why this album doesn't quite succeed as an album celebrating identity is a point that Anthony Fantano did touch on his review of Dirty Computer, but I want to expand on here, and that's Monae's use of sloganeering. It seems that whenever Monae wants to talk about female empowerment, she often just references something that she herself didn't come up with. Notable examples being I Got the Juice, where she repeats, "If you try to grab my pussycat, this pussy grabs you back," which was coined by Amanda Duart and Jessica Bennett. And then in Django Jane, where the beat drops as though she's about to say something impressive and says, "Let the vagina have a monologue," referencing something Eve Ensler and Gloria Steinem created 20 odd years ago. And I really have to question this. Why as a creator did Monae not choose something more original to express herself with? I'm sure she is very passionate about female empowerment, but what she gives us on Dirty Computer feels hollow and lazy, as it's nothing other people haven't already said. And it's because of this I have to mark this album down, as Monae does nothing here that would convince those who think female empowerment is not necessary to consider her perspective. I know it seems like I've ragged on this album a lot, but I do genuinely like it, and I would personally recommend downloading the highlights. But I have seen this album get a lot of rave, like 10 out of 10 reviews, where reviewers just seem to ignore some rather glaring issues with the way this album is executed. Most likely, I think, because they support the overall message of the album, and I'm just here to correct that balance. If you think I've been too harsh on this album, or too easy for that matter, please let me know in the comments below. It would be interesting to know if others think the same way I do about this album. But until next time, who knows when that will be, stay awesome.